Welcome to Backyard Cigars. Today we have CLE 25th Anniversary Toro. And this 25th Anniversary Toro is a creation by none other than Christian Eiroa, the famous Eiroa family. He wanted a cigar to celebrate 25 years of being in the business, and he came up with something that is not only a Honduran puro, it's a Corojo puro. And that is what I think makes it so much more different than a lot of these other Corojo cigars which are out there, which are also very good. But his family has invested a lot in the Corojo seed, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about it. Now, it comes in a tissue sheath here, and knotted at the bottom. It's extremely flat, box pressed. Extremely. It's 6.5 by 54. Like I said, it is all Honduran Corojo. Wrapper, binder, and filler. No blends here, just the Corojo. And I'm gonna go with a nice V cut here. Gotta be careful sometimes with that flame. So I don't advise people to put the lighter so closely to the cigar with the flame, because that can really damage the cigar. But occasionally, and I think it can, or it has happened to most of us, even the most experienced of us, we're in a rush, or we're just trying to move things along a little quicker than we should for whatever reason, and we try to skimp a little bit on lighting the cigar and not going as slowly as we should, because we just want to get it going. A lot of times you can just get away with it, no damage done. If you catch it in time, you pull it away, let it cool down, don't start puffing away on it. And other times you may burn half of your cigar off, or just really cause the burn line to go crazy. Right now, I'm okay. It probably would need to just burn a little bit better there, and then I should be good. So Corojo was once Cuba's preferred wrapper, and the story goes that pretty much in the late 80s up until almost right before the early 90s, right, the Corojo seed was just not profitable anymore. Why? Because it was just too prone to mold, blue mold, and all sorts of diseases. It wasn't growing very big, and it wasn't yielding as much tobacco. It was very problematic to grow it. It was finicky. It was a type of seed that everyone loved when they got it right, and when they were able to use it, obviously, in the cigar making process. But once it started to affect the bottom line in that dramatic way, then a decision had to be made to switch to something else. Now, since then, we've had Corojo hybrids like 99 and 2006, and these have been good. They've been what one would consider the better version of Corojo, for the simple fact that they yield more and they still produce, good tobacco. But for people that are nostalgic for the way that things were once, or people that just you know, are attached to these traditions, these varietals, seed varietals, and just everything in history that goes along with that. So they were from Cuba, and in Cuba that was the seed, and it had its heyday. What Christian Eiroa has done is pretty much recreate the heyday for Corojo, but not using the hybrids, using the original Cuban seed, which is rare. And they've grown quite a lot of it. It's a difficult process. He constantly talks about how challenging it is, but it's also very rewarding to him, and it keeps him interested and excited. So those things, I think, are gonna help us smoke better cigars that he's making. This particular cigar here, and before I go into anything that I'm gonna taste, the way people describe Corojo is pretty much that it's a little spicy, sweet in the finish, and it's slightly strong. But you could just be talking about another Nicaraguan tobacco when you say those words. So it's not that the description for it is that unique. It's not going to sound amazing per se, but the thing is, it's how the spice and the sweetness taste in this cigar as opposed to a Nicaraguan tobacco. It's not necessarily better or worse. It's just different. Right now, I'm just getting a little bit of barnyard. Slight sweetness, dry finish. Corojo was developed in Cuba by Diego Rodriguez, and I don't remember the year right now, but Diego grew it at his farm, San Ines El Corojo, I believe was the name of his farm, in Pinar del Rio province. And it's been one of those seeds that, whether people grow it or not, they keep a stash of it somewhere. Always with some kind of hope or vision that someday, some way in the future, they could do it as a pet project, or just do it, just try it and grow it again. And there are a lot of well-known cigar makers. I can't think of the name right now, but that keep these seeds and fantasize all of the different types of cigars that they can make from growing that tobacco. And I think one of them might be Hiroshi Robaina. And so it is an interesting variety of seed, and a lot of people are aware of the deep history that El Corojo has in Cuba, and many of us have had the hybrids, and maybe even a good group of us have had the original Corojo that was available up until the 80s. But this is, of course, the Cuban seed grown in Honduras. The minute you're growing it in Honduras, it's going to be something different than what you had in Cuba. But it is distinct. As I'm smoking it, there's a nice hay with soft wood notes, and then a slight spice that finishes off with a hint of sweetness. It is basically smoking and tasting like everything that it's billed as. And Christian Eiroa was very proud of this cigar, and for many reasons. I think the fact that it's completely Corojo tobacco is something that you can sit back, smoke, and talk about and discuss in regards to how you feel about this tobacco, or how you just feel about this particular box press because it's shaping up to be a good experience. Now, sadly, I have to report that this draw is just much too conservative for my liking. And I think it's affecting the cigar from really taking off and delivering some of these flavors that I believe that it's capable of. Yeah, it's not plugged in any way. It's just very conservative. It's tightly packed cigars, 54 ring gauge. It has a tight box press, but there's a lot of tobacco in here for sure. Very medium with all of the same flavors that I described before. Nothing's changed there. Aroma's decent. The burn line has been a little off here and there, and it has corrected itself. So I'm going to keep hoping that it will continue to do so. Now, I've kept this cigar now for about, I would say about 4.5 months at 65, 66 RH. My humidimeter was reading it at about 65. Look, folks, a lot of the same flavors, that soft hay, the some hints of cedar I got further along, and you got that spice with the sweetness, very distinct, very soft to medium, very mild to medium cigar. There's nothing overpowering here. It's a medium, probably on the lower to mid-level strength medium, but it has some good flavors. Nothing mind-blowing going on here. Nothing earth-shattering. It's a good accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment. I commend anyone that can, from what I've read and not grown, so I don't know firsthand, I commend anyone who's chosen to work with such a difficult leaf and actually, be successful enough to make a line of cigars from said tobacco. And I know it hasn't been cheap. So, price tag anywhere between $12 and $14 on the eastern coast of the United States for a cigar that's 6 by 54 and is made of all Corojo tobacco, which it's a very smooth tobacco. It's very smooth, mild to medium. I think that this would even make a very good morning cigar. It has a darker colored wrapper, but it does not provide the strength in any way of a Maduro. For that matter, of course, it couldn't, because it's not a Maduro wrapper. But it has that darker Colorado look to it. Or I don't know if you'd call that a Colorado. I would say that is like a milky chocolate color to it. It's a good cigar. Slightly conservative on the draw. If I really wanted to bother with it and felt that I could change things in a big way, I would poke it. But I just don't think that it really needs it. I think I need to accept the way that it is burning in relation to the way that it was pressed and the size of the cigar. And just the fact that these aren't like high octane potent tobaccos. The Corojo tobacco it's a good tobacco. It's strong. It can be strong, but it all depends on how you make it. So in this one, I don't feel that strength, but I'm also still enjoying the overall experience. I think the nice mellow sweetness and slight spiciness to it in the way that it works is going to be a crowd pleaser. Let's find out what happens down the road when some of these crops begin to age a little longer and he's got older Corojo available. Let's see what happens as he achieves even more success in growing this Corojo, and then let's see what kind of cigar that is going to produce. I'm always thinking positively, and in this case, I do think that for many, they may find it to be a slightly pricey cigar, but given what it is, I think, look, I say it a million times. Of course, we all wish that our favorite cigars or any cigar that we smoke was priced $2 or $3 cheaper. It would be nice, and it would probably be fair in many cases. But here we have a situation where Corojo is expensive to grow, and it's there's no way he's going to be able to turn a profit if he's selling these cigars too cheaply. But I thank you for watching. I do recommend you try this cigar, and if you do, give it some time in the humidor, and it will reward you with a nice mild to medium, slightly spicy, sweet smoke. Thank you for watching on Backyard Cigars.